Ange Postecoglou to Spurs, let's talk about that. It's the news no Celtic fan wanted to see, but this morning on the 5th of June at the time of recording, Fabrizio Romano announced that Ange had apparently agreed a 2-year contract with Spurs with a potential 3rd year, and we're just awaiting the green light from Celtic then for lunchtime to come around, and Sky Sports reported that Celtic had given the green light, so now we're just awaiting the announcement from Spurs for such a great man to leave the club. My reaction to this is more just sadness than anything. He came in at a time of need where, the club was toxic, the fan base was toxic. It was a terrible time that 1 year during the COVID year. Thankfully, our banter year was only 1 year, unlike you Rangers fans. Had to get that in there, because a few of them are having a wee bit of a laugh, but realistically, they're just buzzing that a man at the level of Ange is leaving. They mocked him at first, said he wouldn't be there till Christmas. Ended up winning the League Cup, won the league when he wasn't expected to, and then won up to it with a treble. I can't really complain. 5 out of 6 trophies in 2 years. It's pretty impressive. He's gone to one of the big 6. They finished 8th, they've not got any Europe, but they're not as big as Celtic. They're not close to the size of Celtic, but it's going to London. You're playing your teams in the most competitive and best league in the world. Ange will look at that rebuild, and he loves a rebuild going from what he did at Celtic. I hope him well. I just hope he doesn't take a few of our players, etc. I hope he leaves Kennedy as well. I'd quite like Kennedy to be there, unless he takes a management job. Then I'm not against Kennedy leaving, but if he's going to continue as an assistant, I'd like him to stay. So then let's go on to fan reaction. And I've hated it. I have hated how reactionary our fan base is every time. Over the last few years, I've defended the likes of Odsonne-Edouard for being ambitious and being promised that he was allowed a move to the Premier League if it came that summer. And people hold it against them. Players and managers are allowed to be ambitious. They're allowed to want better. Us as fans, we will always support Celtic, we will always back Celtic, but sadly for others out with the fan base and the support that comes, not everyone's goal is Celtic. Not everyone's going to stick around for so many years like Lawson did, and how Scott Brown stuck around for such a long period of time, and how Forrest is a one club man, how Callum McGregor's been around for so long even though he could easily have played in the top 6 in England. Not everyone's like that, and I feel like people have to come to terms that we are a Champions League sized club. We're one of the biggest in Britain. We're probably the 3rd biggest club behind Liverpool and Manchester United, maybe Arsenal above us, depends how you see it, but we're in the top 5 biggest clubs in the UK, but we're a Europa League level team at the end of the day. Yes, we're in the Champions League, but at max, we're looking at 2nd as like a brilliant group. 3rd is what we aim for. So I think people need to come to terms with that. Ange Postecoglou is an ambitious manager, just like players are, and good luck to him. But the name on the front of the shirt will always be bigger than the name on the back, and bigger than the name in the stands, in the dugout. It's Celtic will be here next season, if Ange is there or not. That is the end of the day. We move on. We've replaced some great players, and we'll replace manager as well. I know people are worried just because of what happened maybe with Lennon, but we've had Moussa Dembele. We then replaced him with Odsonne-Edouard, and then we've got Kyogo, to the point we've got a debate of who's the best since Lawson, and I've done a video on that recently, and it maybe even changed. Maybe Kyogo's the best now. We can change the opinions by bringing in someone else. If Rodgers was to come back, he wins the first derby, I bet everyone turns their attention to that instead of calling him a rat. Very reactionary bunch as Celtic fans, to say the least. But sadly, not everyone can keep a cool head. So we go into the manager's odds, and as I was on about Brendan is the favourite for the job, and I wouldn't be against this. Brendan gave me some great memories. He's the 2nd best that I can properly remember. Martin O'Neill I've kind of seen the end of slightly, but mainly for me, Rodgers and Ange Postecoglou have been the best 2 that I've seen. You know, we had the invincible season, you know, but we've had some big derby results, you know. I'd take him back, especially with the funding that he'd get this time round compared to last time, which was a big issue why he left for Leicester. He'd be a big success if he had the same funding and backing as what Ange has gone, which I'd imagine so, because I imagine we'd have a big summer ahead from what was going around. I think Rodgers would be a success yet again. However, another name going around is Jesse Marsh, etc. People want Graham Potter, which is a bit of a dream. But speaking of dreams and that, let's move on to my top 3 to round off this video. My top 3, in no particular order, is Brendan Rodgers, which I kind of think I made clear when we were on about the favourites. Another one is Jesse Marsh. I think you have to look back at his Salzburg day. Don't look at Leeds. Don't look at the media mocking him as like a Ted Lasso or whatever. Just a bunch of rubbish. Jesse Marsh is a good manager, just like Brendan. Brendan's one of the best in Britain. Jesse Marsh is a great coach. You know, we were linked to him before when we were going for Eddie Howe and Postecoglou, etc. He done great at Salzburg, and I'm sure he could replicate that again at Celtic. Obviously, a way bigger club, but the expectations are still there. Where you know you're the best team in your country, you've got to win everything. You got to get into the Champions League. You got to try and be ambitious in Europe. You got to make good signings. You got to play an attractive style. You know, those things still translate from champion of each country. You know. So yeah, I'd take Jesse Marsh. And my third one, Michael Carrick. You know, he's looked very good in the small bits I've seen of Middlesbrough. I don't know if that's all the time, but you know, the odd game is shown on Sky, and I think he looks like a promising young manager. Is it maybe too early for him to get a job like Celtic? Well, I mean, he's doing it in the English Championship, and with his style of play, I'd be quite happy for him. I think those are the 3 I'd want. Brendan and Marsh especially, but if we got Carrick, I'd take him. That's my 3 realistic ones. The dream is obviously the Bodo manager Knutsen or Graham Potter, but you know, Knutsen's linked with Ajax, and I think if he doesn't take that, he's not going to take Celtic. It's similar. And then Graham Potter, I think he will get another decent Premier League job. You know, whoever decent club sacks their manager first, I think he ends up there. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'd love to know yours in the comments below, or DM me on Twitter or Instagram, etc. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.